bad would it have to get for Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich to consider pulling the trigger on Chelsea legend Frank Lampard? Hey, what's poppin', people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you lot are all doing well today, mate. I really do hope that. Welcome to today's video where I will be reflecting on the situation with Chelsea's manager Frank Lampard. Turbulent times in this footballing climate, and Chelsea's recent results have not been good enough, which has stirred up a few people questioning Frank Lampard's position as Chelsea manager. Interestingly, perhaps not neutrals nor broadcasters or analysts. It's more coming from a certain portion of concerned Chelsea fans. And I have sympathy for that. So today I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm really going to try and dissect and dismantle, break down the situation and give my thoughts on it. Settle in, get comfortable, do consider subscribing if you're new. Daily content here on Football Therapy. You might like it. Do me a favour, please. Consider dropping a like on this video because it does help me out a lot, and I'd appreciate you very much if you did that. Alright then, let's get into it. So, the last month or so, results have been very dismal and poor for Chelsea Football Club. Frank Lampard has an embarrassment of riches in terms of talent in his squad, and you marry that with the fact of poor results, and you can quite easily come to a conclusion or a concern that he perhaps isn't the man for the job. Now, the truth is, there are so many mitigating circumstances of what's led us here, and a huge bunch of context is required. Now, I'm just going to break it down, right? First and foremost, a lot of people are looking at Frank Lampard in this last month and going, this is what he is with the Chelsea team, and therefore he's not qualified. But people need to remember that he hasn't just been coaching Chelsea for a month. This is like a year and a few months into the job. And in fact, in his first year at Chelsea, he was being hailed as a coach who's done a good job. He was nominated for Coach of the Year last season. He also won a Manager of the Month award, and he was praised for his work in implementing the youth, bringing through, I think he gave like around 13 academy debuts or something all told, something incredible like that. The truth is, he didn't have to necessarily play all those kids. He did have a bunch of senior players he could have leaned on a bit more, the likes of Pedro, etc., and Giroud, which he ended up doing so, but he chose to bring in and implement the youth. And this is something Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich has always wanted. He invested a hell of a lot of money in that Chelsea academy all those years ago. They've been performing very well at youth level, and he's wanted to see them in the first team, and now he has that in an abundance. So I don't want to ruminate too much on the last season. Frank, of course, had a great result, getting into the top 4, level on points with third, no Eden Hazard, a transfer ban, the kids, etc. Now, what's interesting is you could probably make a case of, if he continued with that team into this season, he may have even been doing better right now. There seems to be a struggle with implementing the new players, having injuries, of course. Frank Lampard was without all 3 of his wingers at one point. No pre-season with a bunch of new signings is always going to be difficult, and it can't be swept under the rug. Frank Lampard is, of course, an inexperienced coach. Of course. Chelsea Football Club know that. They knew that when they hired him. They're not stupid. Believe it or not, the people at Chelsea are actually not stupid. Moreover, they looked at Frank Lampard as a man who is an intelligent footballing man who they believe could develop into a good coach and someone that represents the club well. I don't mean as a club legend, of course that counts, but just as a spokesperson. He speaks well, he understands what Chelsea Football Club is all about ever since, he was signed and, Jose Mourinho came in and Chelsea developed into what we know it is now. He was a big part of that, and he's the top goal scorer, whatever. But yes, I understand at this point, people who are rightly criticising Frank Lampard might accuse me of being sentimental. And although personally, yes I am, I would admit that, what I'm pitching in this current video isn't sentiment, it's tangible factors, elements of him as a manager coming in. He can do this, this and this for the club, but the club are also banking on Frank Lampard to develop as a coach, as a tactician. He did well in the first year, but he needs to grow, he needs to get better, and I think Frank Lampard would be the first person to admit that. Tangible evidence of the club backing Frank Lampard would be letting him spending 220 million, the biggest transfer window Chelsea have had since the original arrival of Roman Abramovich, I think. So that's some serious backing. We are going to get to the recent results and how they've not been good enough, and the eventual potentiality of Lampard getting sacked. But we need to lead up to the point. So in the summer transfer window, after a very good and positive first season, Frank Lampard bought a load of good players, and the majority of these good players said they were swayed, they were allured by Frank Lampard, by him speaking to them, by him making them feel valued. And so far, the players that Frank Lampard has chose to bring in have been very good. He wanted Hakim Ziyech after the Ajax game last season. He's got him, arguably our most important creative player. He wanted Ben Chilwell. He was so dead certain on getting Ben Chilwell. He's looked like an absolute super signing. Frank Lampard was adamant on bringing in Thiago Silva on a free because he knew his quality. Looks like a superb signing. Granted, Edu Mendy was more of a Petr Cech signing, but he gave him the sort of license to go and get who he wants, says, I bestow my trust in you. Kai Havertz is more of a Chelsea Football Club signing. They saw an opportunity to buy this player a gap in the market, so Frank's gonna need to find a way to implement such a talent. And you get what I'm saying. He did well to identify targets, bring them in, and convince them to come in. Now, fast forward to this season that we're in now. Chelsea start very, very well. People on the internet, Twitter, are saying, oh, Kurt Zuma and Thiago Silva are the best centre-back partnership in the Premier League. They are magnificent. Edouard Mendy, transformative. Do Chelsea have the best performing dynamic fullbacks in the league in Reece James and Ben Chilwell, especially with Trent Alexander-Arnold not playing very well and both Chelsea's fullbacks looking absolutely excellent? Kante being pushed back into the CDM role, Mount and Havertz both starting in the attacking eights looking good. Chelsea were the top scorers in the Premier League. They had the most individual goal scorers out of, I think it was 13 players, which I believe still stands as the top most exciting. And if you compare that to Jose Mourinho's Tottenham, where they just rely on Kane and Son to score all the time, Chelsea had 13 different goal scorers. People were tipping Chelsea to challenge for the title. Frank Lampard wasn't though. He was saying, no, look, in the training pitch, I'm seeing stuff wrong here. Chelsea went on a massive unbeaten run. Jurgen Klopp saying Chelsea were favourites for the title. Granted, that was probably mind games, but still, everyone's getting all very overexcited about Chelsea Football Club. Not Frank Lampard though. He was seeing what's happening on the training pitch. He still expressed concerns, and just like he didn't get overexcited in the positivity, he's not getting overly negative in the negativity. Now, it's important that I referenced all this stuff that was happening this season because a lot of people are looking at Chelsea right now, this knackered team that aren't gelling, that are low on confidence, that are just crossing the ball into the box and seemingly not doing anything they're instructed to do. This is not Chelsea, or certainly this is not Frank Lampard's vision for Chelsea. This is not desired effect. Desired effect is playing between the lines, vertical passing, combinations into the final third. The stuff that we saw at segments of last season and the beginning of this season. People were hailing Chelsea as a very exciting attacking side, and people have forgotten that so quickly because it's got bad right now. So we've caught up to where we are. Some very poor performances, disappointing results. Most notably for me, if you watch this channel, you know my reaction to Chelsea's loss to Arsenal. That was a dismal performance. I think the performance was a lot better against Aston Villa, against a very good side in the Premier League at the moment, but not a great result ultimately. Now, it's not good enough. It's not good enough from the players with the poor performance, and it's not good enough for me from Frank Lampard in certain instances. Not making the right changes. There's obviously been a huge negative outcry from Christian Pulisic playing on the right wing and persisting with a misfiring Timo Werner playing on the left wing, and I, like pretty much all of you, agree with that being an incorrect application of these players. Now, I do want to caveat this with, I heard there was some method to the madness. Moving Pulisic on the right wing. Pulisic has played under Frank Lampard for a while, and he knows pressing triggers and he knows when to track back more, purely from being in the team for longer. Now, this is really important because Reece James was playing right back and Frank Lampard relied on Reece James to put in a lot of width, but we need defensive cover. It was great having Willian there as a defensive winger, but if you played Werner on the right, he's been really poor defensively of late, and Werner and Reece James on that side will leave Chelsea far too vulnerable. Werner, in theory, can play well in the left channel, so Frank thought, alright, play him there, he can score goals. Pulisic is still our best attacker, so he should be able to do some stuff on the right wing. Look, as soon as Azpilicueta came into the team at right back, what happened? Pulisic and Werner switched. Now, I'm not forgiving Frank Lampard for that decision. I think you lose far too much by not playing Pulisic on the left wing. I think he needs to play there personally, regardless, but I'm just trying to offer a bit of context of why that decision was originally made. But I don't condone it. My personal reaction to this is, Frank Lampard was always going to have this stodgy moment. I didn't just think he was going to drop into the Chelsea team as an inexperienced manager and just, finish level on points with third, FA Cup final, and then win the league and go onwards, regardless of the fact he's got new players. These new players haven't had a pre-season. It's a new country league and team. They can't gel with the players. They're low on confidence. It's a peculiar global pandemic where the fixtures are congested. And on top of that, I shan't, absolve Frank Lampard entirely of this because he's playing the wrong tactics in the sense of what's going on right now. Lampard should have looked at the situation, player exhaustion, congested fixture schedule, and just said, you know what, to get through these difficult fixtures, I'm going to play a 3-5-2. I'm going to bring in Azpilicueta, I'm going to, use the width from the wing backs because we've got no wingers at the moment, so let's just play Giroud and Pulisic and use the wing backs as width. Something like that, and perhaps this one win in 5 or 6 games, whatever it is, we might have got 2 wins, maybe a draw against Arsenal, made it a little bit more easy to take. But this is all with the gift of hindsight, which is easy to say on, after a match, after football. I had to come off social media for a bit, man, because it was getting so toxic. Twitter, right? If Chelsea win a football match, yeah, you tweet out you're happy about it, feeling good, endorphins, and then you get on with your life. You unplug from the internet, you go see your girlfriend, your wife, your family, you get on with your life and you feel good. But if Chelsea lose, you get on Twitter and you stay on it. You swap toxicity and negativity with people and it breeds off each other and you all feel bad and low and it's really gnarly. So I had to have a word with myself and just go away from social media and look at football properly and look at what's going on, look at the season, look at the players, look at the manager, sort of take a deep breath and assess what's really going on. And upon reflection, I do feel a little bit better. I'm like, right, okay, so this is what's happening. I understand this. Chelsea have a long-term vision with Frank Lampard. They no longer want to use the chop and change model. They want to build something here and they see the potential in him to do that. Does it mean it will work? Not necessarily, no. Frank Lampard, if he keeps losing, he will get sacked. Simple as that. A lot of people don't like Frank Lampard. I don't know why personally, if you're a Chelsea fan, but that's fair enough. That's your prerogative. But like any other manager, it's a results business. Chelsea is a big business, and if Frank Lampard does not deliver, he will get canned. Now, when would that happen in terms of negative results? Well, for me, I would speculate he would have to continue playing bad for a bit more later into the season, and it would have to look like Chelsea aren't going to qualify for the Champions League. And if that's the case, I think Chelsea might sack him, bring in a successor to play out the rest of the season, to have extra games to try and do, maybe even win the Premier League in his first full season if he's a big, proven manager. But honestly, I think Chelsea, Roman Abramovich, the board are reluctant to do that because all these new players that have come in, they want to play for Frank Lampard. They could have moved to Bayern Munich or Real Madrid, a couple of them, but with, big coaches and big clubs, but they came to Chelsea for the project, for the young players, for the young manager, Frank Lampard. And whether you're Lampard in, you're Lampard out, that is just fact, man. What are the alternatives if they sack Lampard soon? People are calling out for Nagelsmann. I really like Nagelsmann. I loved him at Hoffenheim. He was 28 years old or something when he took over that team. It was an inspirational move for such a young man. He's younger than me, I think, or about the same age as me. Really exciting. But what, he could come to Chelsea, completely collapse, implement, you don't know it's going to work. So people say maybe Allegri. Allegri would want to buy all his own players, and again, he'd protect his own reputation before, Chelsea winning. That's another benefit of having Frank Lampard that I've echoed before. He would always put the success of the club before his own managerial career. That's just a fact. At the end of the day, for me, what's paramount is Chelsea's success. But Chelsea's success with Lampard would be the ultimate success, in my personal opinion. Whether you're Lampard in, you're Lampard out, hopefully you've dissected the stuff I've spoken about in this video, broken down everything, looked at what the club want to do. Chelsea are about winning, they have high standards. Frank Lampard said it himself when he was appointed. And they believe Frank Lampard has the right ideas, the right allure to players, and the right, he's the right inspirational figure for the players. And I believe that. But it's very difficult to judge him too negatively when you look at the current climate of what he's done, of what, he's had no time with the players and what's happening in the world right now. And if you look around the Premier League, there's poor results everywhere. Liverpool are drawing to all kinds of teams, getting battered 7-2 by Aston Villa. Everyone's dropping points here and there. And it's not time to give up on an exciting, attacking project of Frank Lampard's Chelsea Football Club. No, it's not good enough at the moment, and we can, state our disappointment and disapproval on that. But that doesn't mean we should be too reactionary. Anyway, I've said my piece. I've been talking a long time in this video, but it's something I really want to get off my chest. And I'm not having a go at people who want Frank Lampard out. Respectfully, that everyone's entitled to their opinions. I'm not here to judge anyone. I just wanted to give my opinion, and hopefully you enjoyed it. So that's it, man. Leave your comments down below. Express your feelings on the matter. Be respectful and kind, though. Consider dropping a like if you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe to Football Therapy if you're new. And that's it from me. Enjoy the football, and I will see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo, chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.